Good morning, everybody. Welcome to June 26, 2024. We are counting down to the end of June into the latter half of the year. Oh, and I wouldn't rather be here with anybody else. Welcome to the pre-market prep session. This is where we go over before that opening stock market bell, right, on Wall Street, where we go over the important news, notes, analysis, trade ideas necessary to keeping you consistently profitable here out in these market streets. You can't win each and every day, right? But the importance is to make sure that you are managing as effectively as you can and controlling the controllables, which is what we do here within this community. This week has been a lot of chop, but it was also expected. Why? Because if you were here for that deluxe pre-market prep session over on Monday, we went over how we get this PCE data this Friday and how things could be slow as a result of that. Us waiting for that data to come in. So we're waiting on that data to come in, and the market's kind of been just choppy, consolidating. Honestly, possibly headed to break the low of last week. We put in a shooting star candle on the weekly chart last week on SPY, so we are more than likely, right, 80% or more likely probability to head lower, and that means at least break last week's low. So it's not a surprise that we have headed lower, right? It's not a surprise if we do still head lower because we haven't reached that low yet. And we're just working to, make sure that we remain patient and execute when necessary, and not let the market ruin, right, a great week that we had last week or the week before that, right? When everything was moving easily and flowing, and we had SPY down to a T and it rocketed to our price targets, right? All that good stuff. You don't want to ruin that, right? Every week you will not get amazing movement. That is how the market goes, and you cannot control that. All you can control is what you do with what you have. So let's make sure that we make the best decisions and dive into what we got going on here this morning. As always, throw that one in the chat signifying your intention to get 1% better each and every day. That's our goal. We're all about Kaizen, right? It's not about, never losing. It's just always about pushing through and continuing to persevere. You're not infallible, but you are unstoppable, right? So let's be unstoppable here today on this fine hump day. Top news feeling electrified. Rivian Automotive has sent some jolts across the EV sector with its announcement that the company would form a joint venture with Volkswagen. The initial and planned investments by VW of $5 billion would create next gen electrical architecture and best in class software technology that will give the EV maker a path to positive free cash flow and meaningful scale, and help fund operations through the production ramp of R2 in Illinois and mid-sized platform in Georgia. Quote, since the earliest days of Rivian, we've been focused on developing highly differentiated technology, and it's exciting that one of the world's largest and most respected automotive companies has recognized this, CEO RJ Scaringe said in a statement. Quote, this partnership brings Rivian's software and zonal electronics platform to a broader market through Volkswagen's global reach, through Volkswagen Group's global reach and scale. Now, what is forward thinking or stakeholder Amazon? Shares of Rivian jumped 49.9%, basically 50%, in post market trading on Tuesday, which is crazy, after gaining 8.6% during the regular session. At $16, the EV stock still trades well below the $78 IPO pricing. Yeah, I'd say in level in 2021, and its all-time closing high of 172. I don't know if you guys remember Rivian. It was supposed to be like the Tesla killer, and there was crazy options trading on it for a bit, and then it just completely bit the dust and just got smacked down and smacked around. So my initial thought process hearing this is like, okay, good for Rivian. If you were in before this happened, awesome. Rivian can get some weird like option activity, and I saw that it was getting some play yesterday, but I was kind of just like, all right, this has happened before, and unfortunately, those people have gotten clapped as Rivian has done what it so often does, fizzles out, and then continues to sell down. So I thought nothing of it, but if anybody took the plunge, right? That ended up paying off really nicely, as I'm sure those are multi, 1,000%, 2,000, 3,000% gainers with the stock jumping 50%, right? If the stock jumps 3, 4%, you're up 100%, 200%, right? So jumping 50%, probably huge, huge, huge gains. And I'm sure some insiders somewhere just completely cashed out and turned 2 million into like 50 million and 60 million, because that's what you do, right? You use the information that you have available and you make moves with it. And in this case, for board members and politicians and investors, they do it even if it's illegal, right? I saw another politician disclosing he's on like 5 different committees, and my man has traded hundreds of millions over the course of the past few years. And it's just like, wow, and nothing ever comes of it. So I don't care to be like enraged by it anymore. It is what it is. Put me on. I'm gonna figure out how to do it, right? And that's what I'm focused on doing because are these people going to be brought to justice? No. Do I want to look to do what they do? Yeah. Investing group leader Daniel Jones writes in Rivian surges on Miracle Deal, quote, the company is still significantly away from achieving a state of being even close to fair value. And I think that's what's important here. Rivian had like a whole lot of hype coming out, right? They called it the Tesla killer. I feel like so many different companies have donned that moniker over the years. But it really didn't end up being all of that. They do have, the deal with Amazon. Amazon's got, all those Rivians out on the road. Ford had a partnership with them and then dissolved that partnership. So I think it's important to recognize that when companies make announcements like this, it doesn't mean that the company is going to the moon or that it'll immediately be a Tesla or BYD contender. Um, take it with a grain of salt because Ford had a deal with them and then Ford dissolved that partnership. So it's like you don't necessarily have to, just because a partnership is made doesn't mean that it's there for a lifetime. And it doesn't mean anything necessarily, amazing will come from it, right? Apple has dissolved partnerships that it's made in the finance sector, right? With Apple Pay, and it's making, they're making their foray. They had the Apple Card and all this stuff. They were partnered with like Goldman Sachs for the Apple Card, and then they dissolved that partnership. So, understand that just because this happens, just like whenever you see like this company is purchasing this company and it gets struck down like 3 months later, it happens a lot. So, I'll check out the chart, kind of see if there's anything interesting on the Rivian chart. But as of kind of just, hey, this stock is up 50%. What do you think? Initially, my thought is don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. That's initially my thought, right? Unless you like have done deep research into the fundamentals of the company. But as of right now, it's always like, all right, take a look at the technical, see what happens, because a stock moving 50% is going to do insane things for the implied volatility of those option contracts. They're going to be through the roof, right? So that's it's kind of the big factor is that if you aren't already in, unless you were like buying shares and you really believe in the company, then like I'm not looking to jump at a trade on that company just because it's like, look, how much better can it get than a 50% jump overnight? And you don't want to be that guy that's stuck waiting for another 50% jump. And it's like, come on, I gotta be realistic here, right? Don't do this to yourself. Um, so those are my feelings on Rivian. In terms of sector watch, the pullback by major automobile manufacturers from aggressive electric vehicle strategies has increased speculation that partnerships and collaborations may become more common. This would mark a reversal from prior plans to copy Tesla through massive upfront proprietary investments in the supply chain, unique manufacturing capabilities, ground up software development, in house battery sourcing, and downstream infrastructure. It also comes amid slower than expected adoption of EVs and increasing competition from China that's challenging rivals on price and sales. Yeah, this might just be speculation on my part, but it is starting to feel like the AI arms race and what is happening now is kind of completely overshadowing what was supposed to be, the time of the electric vehicles. I think Elon Musk kind of diverting chips meant for Tesla and sending them to XAI is significant. I think that them, cutting people in their EV infrastructure, because Tesla, that was their big play, right? They were investing a lot into that, and they've done a great job already setting up the infrastructure for electric vehicles. But I think them shifting, right, their focus fully to AI is very significant. Um, and I think that it has become for global players, it has become a drop everything and race to AI type of thing. And that's definitely like we talked about a number of different stock sectors that will benefit from that during the Kaizen event. So I don't have time here to go over all those, but you're seeing this exact thing play out right here in front of our eyes, where we're going to start to see, people kind of ditch like, oh, you want clean energy? I don't really care where the energy comes from. I just need to build this data center, right? I just need to train these AI models. So I feel like that's where we're at, where it's kind of like people aren't as aggressively focusing on EV strategies as much as it's like, hey, let's develop, a super smart generative AI model that could solve these problems for us and give us the best way to go about this, stage of attack. And, it's kind of like everyone's last ditch effort is putting all their marbles into this sector. And it seems like, EV is kind of becoming the neglected stepchild of that. Now, because of what Tesla does with, AI already, I mean, they're the most AI advanced vehicles available, right? By far, bar none. I mean, they can dance, right? They can literally dance and do like a waltz routine. The car can. So it's like in, Tesla in that sense, in terms of like the AI that's already in the hardware, is, the most valuable vehicle available because of how integrated it is with AI. So again, I think that Tesla will be fine, and I think that Musk will be fine, even though it seems like he's behind in this AI race. But just in general, in terms of like commentary on EVs, it just seemed like that was like the major push for a while, right? You had all these different EV companies popping up, and Tesla was super valuable, and now it seems kind of like all right, hard left, right, to AI. Trending news, public health crisis a week after calling out the dangers of social media on youth mental health. U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy has declared gun violence a public health crisis. Statistics quoted, including firearms, as the leading cause of death for children and adolescents aged 1 to 19. Wow. The landmark advisory is the first highlighting of fatal consequences of firearms, similar to its cigarette warnings put in place in the 1960s. It would need an act of Congress, but Murthy called for an assault weapon ban. Sorry, my neck's hurting a little bit. On civilians, universal background checks, policies governing who can carry a loaded firearm in public, and regulation in the industry. I don't think we need to waste any time on this. This is America. This is going to fall on deaf ears, for better or for worse, right? Regardless of what you think about it, too much money, right? Too much NRA money flowing. This is something that unfortunately is kind of ingrained in the identity of this country, and it's a shame because they don't deal with any of these issues in other countries. But it is what it is, and I think that's worth talking about because it would like it would really take a miracle to change anything on that front, like an overwhelming miracle. Um, Tech news, big bounce. Don't count out mega cap tech just yet. With staying power stemming from AI enthusiasm and accompanying corporate events. Following a steep sell off that saw the stock enter correction territory, NVIDIA surged 7% on Tuesday and is up another 2% in pre market trading around $129 per share, putting the Jensen Wong led company back above the $3 trillion market cap level. I wonder why they're so obsessed with tracking this. It's so funny. And last week, Seeking Alpha Investing Summit, Wedbush Securities analyst Dan Ives said the tech bull market would last another 2 to 3 years, and these three companies would battle in a race to reach 4 trillion. You guys already know my timeline and my date for this, kind of AI bubble and when we reach the finish line, right? So it's a blessing to be involved with Kaizen, right? An absolute blessing. Being able to see the future like that and proactively position yourself to make sure that where big money is putting all of its money, you will benefit from. You can't beat it. That is like an A plus responsible adult human play. Always put yourself in the way of harnessing the big waves that are happening. So that way you can be proactively lazy, right? Oh man, everybody's hustling, do this, hustling, do that. I'm just gonna make sure that if a big wave is coming, I've got my boat set up right here, so that way it carries me from point A to point B instead of me having to furiously paddle out in the middle of the ocean. Right. I feel like everyone, reaches adulthood and you have this kind of feeling where you're like out there and you're just paddling and you're working, trying to get somewhere. But there are these waves that are going through the ocean all around you, right? And all you have to do is set yourself up in the environment and with the information and the systems and the mindset to leverage those waves to do what you need to do for you, right? And I love that. I love that that's a thing. I'm just going to set myself up here and I'm going to let what the world was going to do anyways help me succeed. Right? That's the way. But it still takes work and effort to get there. So you can, kind of work paddling and doing that, right? Or you could work to set something up, build something, get yourself a position, and then you get swept that way, right? And everybody's entitled to live however they want to live. That's just me, right? If I see that something's happening and it's very easy to take advantage of, I'm going to take the time, spend the money, do what I need to do to build what I need to build to take advantage of it, right? And let them do the heavy lifting for me. I know that these ravenous companies are aiming toward a certain goal, that they have a certain time frame for it. So while you're doing that, I'm going to make sure that I hitch my wagon to you, right? So you can continue to grow my retirement, right? Grow that nest egg, grow, everything that I'm passing down to the next generation of Hollands. Um, and that's the goal. Financials, IRS, and in the meantime, I'm going to make sure that I'm living well within my means, not buying anything that I can't buy three, four times over, right? And staying focused on that grind so that in my later years, I can sit back, kick my feet up, and say I did well, right? Like Thanos sitting on top of that throne, after he morbidly did the snap and he's like, job well done. That's what you want, right? But for right now, grind time. Financials, IRS says sorry. The Internal Revenue Service has apologized to Ken Griffin, founder and CEO of hedge fund Citadel, as well as thousands of other wealthy Americans whose personal tax information was passed to the press by a former IRS contractor. Charles Littlejohn, who is serving a 5-year prison sentence, also leaked the returns of Tesla's Elon Musk, Amazon's Jeff Bezos, and former President Donald Trump. Quote, the IRS acknowledges that it failed to prevent Littlejohn's criminal conduct and unlawful disclosure of Griffin's confidential data. The agency declared, adding that it has made substantial investments to beef up its data security. Today's markets in Asia, Japan up 1.3%, Hong Kong up 0.1, China up 0.8, India up 0.8, London flat, Paris down 0.6, Frankfurt up 0.2, the Dow down 0.1, S&P up 0.1, Nasdaq up 0.2, crude up almost 1%, gold down 0.4, Bitcoin flat at 61,296. What else is happening? Big gain for FedEx after earnings beat and favorable guidance. Shout out to FedEx. SEC, the spot Ether ETF approval process is going smoothly. Lucky 7, ExxonMobil is planning another oil project in Guyana. Walmart CFO warns Q2 sales won't be as strong as Q1. Safety worry, Tesla's recalling thousands of Cybertrucks. Rip to the Cybertruck. Waymo, ticker Google, rolls out ride hailing for all in San Francisco. I believe that that would be autonomous vehicles, right? Because that's what Waymo is. Um, so, another kind of leg up here in this AI race as well, because so much AI goes into full self-driving. Solar Edge, ticker SEDG, sinks to 7-year low on customer bankruptcy. Low lithium prices don't justify new spending on plants, says Alvin Marley. Starbucks, ticker SBUX, adds new iced energy drinks to its national menu. And then rejected by judge, Visa and MasterCard, $30 billion swipe fee settlement. So we'll wrap it up, put a bow on it, and that'll take us out here today on this morning's pre-market prep session, right? There's a lot of opportunity for you to be taking advantage of in the market each and every day, right? Just like I said, there are forces at play that you can leverage in order to accomplish your goals, but it takes you doing the little things, right? Ask those questions, put yourself in position. Fear on the other side of it is literally everything that you're striving for, right? But people let the small things, like not asking questions, not stepping out on faith when everything isn't clear, right? Um, the only time you accomplish anything worth doing is when you're outside of your comfort zone. So make sure you get comfortable being uncomfortable. If you feel like you know what you're doing, you're probably not doing enough. Right. That's what I found. Anytime that I am really in flow and just things are kind of divinely aligning for me, it's like, wow, what is happening here? Like I have no business doing this, but I'm putting one foot in front of the other. I'm asking the questions, I'm putting myself in position, right? I'm pushing forward bit by bit by bit. And then I just see like, wow, this door opens, this door opens, this door opens. And now I'm in a whole new space, a whole new place with a whole new set of opportunities. And it's like, man, this is crazy, but it just took one step in front of the other and never being sure, never feeling completely sure. That's the whole thing. Right now, I've embraced that. And that's the feeling that I strive for. Whenever I get comfortable, I strive to now make myself uncomfortable. So make sure that you're putting yourself around people and in positions to continue to strive to succeed, to leverage the big forces at play for your own good and remain comfortably uncomfortable. All right. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning for our next pre market prep stream. Have a good one. Peace.